Hello, everybody. Michael Rubenfeld here. I am in Calgary, Alberta. As you probably know, I've made a series of videos about it. Calgary, Alberta, for those who don't know, is towards the west of Canada. It is the province just before you get to British Columbia. A lot of people don't necessarily know much about Alberta. If you are, not North American, a lot of Europeans, when they think of Canada, they think of Vancouver or British Columbia in general because of the mountains. They might think about Toronto. And, in Poland, you think about like Prince Edward Island because Anne of Green Gables. It's funny, I've been posting a little bit about Calgary, and people are going like, isn't that where the Olympics were? It's like, yes, 1988, I think, were the Olympics in Calgary. And, that's why the majority of the world might remember Calgary. You can get to the mountains from Calgary. It is the same mountains that you can get to if you're in Vancouver, British Columbia. The Rockies, they're quite big. And I'm going to go there with my family, but that's not necessarily what this video is about, because I wanted to talk about this video and in a lot of the videos that I'm making these days, just the things that I'm noticing in Canada that are different than Poland. And why is that relevant? Only because, a lot of the people who watch my videos are Polish, and I think they might find it interesting what, I am experiencing on this trip back to Calgary. I don't, I've really not spent a lot of time in Calgary in my life, but it's not like so different than the rest of Canada. It's still Canada, and it feels like Canada, and so I feel like I can say certain things about my experiences in Calgary, and they can apply to all of Canada, unless you're in Montreal or in Quebec in general, which feels like you're in a different country because of it being colonized by the French, not the British. Anyways, I don't want to get into that because that's not what this is about. This is about the first day of the rehearsal that I had, which was an interesting day. The artistic director of Theatre Calgary, Stafford Arima, he made the decision to ask everyone in the room. There was this meet and greet, and everyone from the two organizations that were collaborating on this production came in to introduce themselves, who they were, and there was like 50 people in the room. It was pretty magnificent. And the play that I'm doing, the Lehman trilogy, is about tracking the Lehman family, the Lehman Brothers family, who were three German Jewish brothers who immigrated to America from Germany in the mid 1800s, and ultimately it was the family that built what became the Lehman Brothers Bank, which in 2008, 2018? No, 2008 crashed when there, as a result of the subprime mortgage bubble that burst. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just watch The Big Short, and then it'll teach you everything you need to know. Great movie. Great movie? Good movie. I like that movie. Anyways, the Lehman Brothers trilogy, because it, being about this family, but also ultimately being about, who these people became after leaving where they were from to come to this new world of America, this capitalist driven space. Stafford Arima asked everyone in the room to talk about where their roots are, to talk about where their grandparents were from, grandparents or great grandparents. And, almost exclusively everyone in that room, their roots, their grandparents or great grandparents, were from other parts of the world. Lots of people from Europe, some people from Jamaica, just they're all over the world. Almost no one's history was in Canada. I think there were some people who had some indigenous history, and so their people would have been historically on the land now known as Canada. Other than that, unless you're indigenous, you're not going to be indigenous to this country. And if you don't know what I mean by indigenous, I mean like native Canadian or First Nations. Um, but if you were to be in Poland and you would have a meet and greet in Poland, and everyone in the room would be asked where their family is from, where their roots are from, they would almost exclusively say the town or the city in Poland that their history is from, because almost everyone in Poland has their roots in Poland. People who live in Poland uh, did not come from somewhere else. I mean, maybe 1,000 years they did, but the vast majority of Polish people are from Poland. Um, Now, of course, Poland has a lot of Ukrainians, both immigrants, refugees who are now living in Poland full time, Belarusians, people who have left nearby countries because of either horde governments like in Belarus, or of course the war in Ukraine, or just opportunity that Poland offers to Ukrainian people. But everyone knows where they're from and has a connection to where they're from. What's interesting is that a lot of people in Canada, they might know where they're from. A lot of people are like, well, I'm a mutt. I've got Scottish, Irish, German, British, but that, like in many cases, is all people know. That they know that at some point their family came here from another country. They probably know the country. In some cases, they don't even know all of the countries that their families might have come from. Often not necessarily even the towns, what they did, who they were, nothing. We have this disconnect in Canada from our histories, um, which is something that I've just kind of always taken for granted because that's what Canada is. But once I moved to Poland, and I realized that that is not the case in Poland, I just became very fascinated with it. I mean, a big part of the reason that I even moved to Poland is because I wanted to reconnect to my history, even though my history, my family's histories in Poland, concretely are gone. They were Jews. The Jews were all murdered by the Germans in Poland. So yeah, but I wanted to at least move back to Poland to get closer to uh, who I am or where I come from. And that's just not a value necessarily in Canada. That's just what's happened, right? That's just what Canada has become. And I think it's, in a way, unavoidable. There are people all over the world whose families, were not necessarily born there, and then the second, third generation might not have connection to where their families are from. I think that's just what happens as a result of migration. But it's interesting that so much of Canada has that in common, that kind of unknown historical contexts, whereas in Poland, everyone shares, this Polish history, and that's a huge difference between the two countries. So I think it's fascinating, and I kind of know what I prefer, but I'm curious, what you think, how you think these things might affect one's identity, one's sense of who one is. I think that, There's a lot that's really great about Canada that I love. There is a calmness, there's a lack of intensity around history. In Poland, there's far more intensity around history and how it intersects with the contemporary than in Canada. I don't know if that's good or bad. I think, to each their own. But what do you think? Let me know. Anyways, if you like content like this, feel free to subscribe. I do have a Patreon account where you can support me for as little as 25 zloty a month, price of a good coffee. And I've also got a mailing list, which is just down below. So I encourage you to join my mailing list as well, where I'm going to send probably, something every couple of months just to keep you updated about my professional life and opportunities to intersect with some of the things that I'm doing. Thanks a lot. Love ya.